feel about Dez holding out? I mean, about the Cowboys holding out on Dez. If they were just going to increase it by about $2 million.
Low blow by Hurts. Hagler still looking for the body. A right by Hagler. Good right got in. He had Hurts where he loved to keep him on the ropes. Now he comes off easily. Another good right by Hurts. Hagler's now taking those right hands off, though. He was stung a little early. He's normally a slow starter. He's also bleeding. Hagler is cut. Hagler is cut. Bridge of the nose.
Welcome to Around the World in Sports in 60 Minutes. I'm your moderator, Cuthbert C.W. Walden, and this is my distinguished panel of experts.
And I am Jabari Garrett, the host, also co-host of the show.
And my name's King Davis. And I'm Isaac Cherry, and we're going around the world. I just like to say, can I be African?
Okay. We're going to talk about the NFL. The first area we want to talk about is the early season surprises. Who are some of the surprises in this early NFL season?
I'll take this one first. Earliest surprises for me, I have two actually. The Colts and the Seahawks. I knew that the defense for the Seahawks was going to be affected with Cam Chancellor out, but I didn't think they would be 1-2, especially against a team with the St. Louis Rams, and the way they were just stumped that game, it really surprised me. The Colts, I knew their offense wasn't going to be good, but I think it was going to suck. And I knew their defense wasn't going to be good, but I think it at least show something to where they would have a better record than what they do now.
Well, the Baltimore Ravens, 0-3, that's a bad start to start off with, and I didn't expect it. I mean, the Ravens has a solid team, but when Ray Lewis left, it kind of made them drop a little bit. Like, they never had the same team chemistry as they used to. The Ravens, I'm thinking that they can get back into it, but right now, it really surprised me to start off 0-3.
I was expecting a little bit more out of the Colts because, you know, all the new additions that they got to the team, like Frank Gore, Andre Johnson, Philip Dorsett. So I was expecting a little more of their offense, but not so much the defense. So.
Well, let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles for a while. Chip Kelly made a lot of offseason changes. He traded Shady McCoy. They acquired DeMarco Murray, but it seems like they're not using DeMarco as effectively. What do you think is going on with the Philadelphia Eagles?
I like to say this. When I saw Chip Kelly blowing up the roster, you know, trading Nick Foles for Sam Bradford, basically trading Shady McCoy, I knew they were going to suck. I knew they wasn't going to do good this year, but they're going to have a chance, knowing with all the injuries that's going on in the division. The Cowboys lost Tony Romo, Dan Bryant. The Giants don't have a second good receiver besides Odell Beckham. And the Redskins, they're the Redskins. So everything's just wrong with him. But I knew they weren't going to be good because they switched up so much and he blew up the roster. He really blew it up. They released some of their best offensive linemen. And what they did, Chip Kelly's on the hot seat. He's on the hot seat right now. If this season don't go as well, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets released or fired.
Well, actually, for the Eagles, I actually expected them to become like the former Broncos. Like when they first started, the Broncos added Payton Manning to their addition, Wes Welker. Everyone was thinking that this offense would be elite, which it was. So for the Eagles, when they added these additions, I'm expecting the offense to be elite. But the way DeMarco Murray is being used isn't the same way as he was used at the Cowboys. And also, DeMarco Murray doesn't have the line that he had at the Cowboys with the Eagles. So therefore, he can't perform the same way that he used to.
Yeah. And I think that Chip Kelly is trying to make his team kind of like Oregon because, you know, they're getting a whole lot of fast-paced people and he has lots of speed on his team, you know, special teams. And I think that's a good addition for them too, Darren Sproles. And, you know, they put a lot of more depth inside their team. So they have a pretty stacked roster.
Okay. Now, what teams that started 0-2 do you think are going to make the playoffs?
I have the Seahawks making the playoffs. They started 0-2. And especially knowing that they got Cam Chancellor back, he's really going to help that defense because he tells Earl Thomas where to line up. And for him to do that, it's really going to boost the morale on the defense. And And even while he was gone, he was still there mentally, but he just wasn't there on the field to really. He takes the defense to a whole other level, say the least.
Like he sets the tone for the team, you know. Like he's like the leader, you know. He's the one who gets all the tackles. He's like the leader on the team. He's like the quarterback on the team. So yeah, he really sets the tone for them.
Well, I also think that the Seahawks might also make the playoffs. I feel like that they're going back to the drawing board, finding out how to use the weapons that they have. Because, you know, they have Jimmy Graham, and he's not performing like they expected him to. But they're not using him the way that he can perform to success. So I feel like they're going to go back and find their stars, find out how to use them better, and which will help them make the playoffs. Same thing for the Ravens, because they 0-3, and I didn't expect this either. So I feel like they're just going to go back to the drawing board, try to find out how to make the team work better as a whole, build up the team chemistry, and I feel like they'll make the playoffs also.
Okay. Now, we talked about Cam Chancellor. What does his addition to Seattle mean for that team? We saw before he came back to the team, they were giving up over 30 points a game. St. Louis torched them, Green Bay torched them. What difference is Cam Chancellor going to make to that defense?
He's going to make a huge difference. I mean, he is the quarterback of the defense. You know, the quarterback tells everybody what to do. He's the leader. And for him, to really see how much the Seahawks defense weren't that good without Cam Chancellor, because even Richard Sherman was getting exposed while he was gone. Earl Thomas was getting exposed. All their corners were being exposed. And for him to come back, it's really going to be able to have them going back to playing their defense, the hard-hitting Legion of Boom defense.
Now, let's shift gears a little bit. We talked about teams that started 0-2. The Colts was one of those teams. I would have a question for you. Do you think Andrew Luck is overrated?
Well, not at all. I don't think he's overrated. He got the first pick in the NFL draft for a reason.
Okay.
Because for one thing, the Colts saw in Andrew Luck what others did. First, Andrew Luck has a great arm. His quarterback vision is great. It's just fitting the team needs. The team made adjustments this year, so he has to get used to those adjustments, as any quarterback needs to. Peyton Manning, starting off the season, didn't have so much of a good game in the first game. He has to get adjusted to the new offense. So, I mean, that's just for any quarterback. I don't think Andrew Luck is overrated. I mean, coming out of college, RG3 got the Heisman, which is another quarterback, but he didn't get the first pick. Andrew Luck did. So therefore, I mean, Andrew Luck isn't overrated. He's a great player, and I feel like that he's going to have the rest of the season coming forward. He's going to have a great season.
Yeah, I think he's like the Aaron Rodgers of the AFC.
That's a big statement. Aaron Rodgers is the best player in the NFL, so you think that Andrew Luck has that kind of talent?
Yeah, I think he has the potential too.
So a lot of prognosticators have picked the Colts to go to the Super Bowl. Do you think that Andrew Luck can win the big game? If they don't win home field, they're 1-2 now. Do you think they can go to Pittsburgh in the cold weather, or go to New England, as we saw last year in cold weather, and win a game?
No. It's not going to be because of Andrew Luck. It's going to be more because of the defense and their offensive line. And the way, I just like to say something, the way Chuck Pagano really just called out Andrew Luck and talking about he's used to this offensive line, he should know what to do now. That offensive line is pitiful. And you're expecting a dude to come out every single day and dodge some of the biggest, fastest people in the world that hit the hardest. With an offensive line like that, you're crazy. You're smoking something. I don't know what it is, but you need to stop. And Andrew Luck is not overrated. It's that offensive line and the weapon that he has around him. T.Y. Hilton is a good weapon. They brought in Andre Johnson and Frank Gore for a reason, but they're not doing their job. So I do not see the Colts winning the big game or even getting there.
Okay. Let's talk about Peyton Manning. He has a new coaching staff in Denver, and it's a different type of offense. He's usually in charge of the offense, where he's able to call audibles. Gary Kubiak has a very hands-on approach. How do you think that Peyton Manning is going to fit into that new offense in Denver?
Well, I feel like he's fit in now. Actually, saw the last game, had a great game, but the games before that, I mean, he was kind of struggling. But I mean, I brought this up earlier, comparing Payton Manning and Andrew Luck. Payton Manning is way better than Andrew Luck. Let's just be honest. So them adjusting to the team, Payton Manning will adjust faster. He's been in the league longer than Andrew Luck. He knows how to adjust faster. He's played with a different team before. So it's not that he has to adjust to them. He adjusted to the Broncos once. He can do it again.
Yeah, and I think they should actually let Peyton Manning remain like the chief and commander of the team, how he used to, because Peyton Manning is really like the only quarterback who actually still calls the on plays in the huddle and stuff, because back then, like the 90s and stuff, the quarterbacks used to always call the plays, not the coaches. But I think they should let Peyton Manning stay have his own team, call his own plays and stuff.
I don't think Payton Manning will have a good job, will have a hard time adjusting to it. I think it's more of, does he still have enough juice in the tank? Because last year we saw his arm just blow out on him. I think at the beginning of the season last year he was doing great. Payton Manning, yes, he's a great quarterback. But that age is catching up to him, and Father Time has never been beaten before. And he's going to adjust good. At first, they had their rough spots, but I think we're going to see later on in the season they're going to start running the ball more, because as you can tell, Payton Manning is getting older. His arm isn't what it used to be.
He can't take those hits.
Yeah.
I think the fact that he's getting hit more is really a big factor. If any quarterback gets hit an excessive amount of time, it's going to take a lot of effort out of him. If you get Aaron Rodgers, if he's getting knocked down 14 times a game, he's not going to be as effective. The one thing that concerns me about the new offense is that it can become predictable. The thing with Peyton Manning, when he came to the line of scrimmage, he would use audibles and he would keep the defense off balance. If he's not able to check out the plays and run the ball in passing situations, it becomes predictable. And if the offensive line is not holding up, which is struggling right now, Denver could have some problems at quarterback. So I think that they need to allow Peyton to have control of the offense, be able to check out the plays, and run it the way that he's been doing his whole career. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He played many years in this style. It's kind of hard to take him at age 38 and change him that way. And I think that they need to look at that. And I think Gary Kubiak is coming around to that. He's seeing that they came back against Kansas City in a tight game, and he saw what they did on Sunday night. So we can look for Peyton to have more control of the offense as we go forward. And I do think because of his age, he's wearing down at the end of the year. So they're going to have to find ways to run the ball more often. And when the weather gets colder, they're going to need to run it, because passing in cold weather is a difficult thing to have accomplished, especially in Denver with the wind blowing and the high altitude. All right, that wraps up our first session. When we come back, we're going to talk about what's going on in the NBA. We're going to go around and talk about the early season predictions. We'll be back in a moment on Around the World in 60 Minutes.
Hello, I'm Isaac Cherry, and right now I'm signing up for OCC Operation Community Care and Police Athletic. When you sign up for these, you can be a part of everything that normal kids don't get the chance of. All thing you have to do is sign up at www.occpal.me.
Welcome back to Around the World of Sports in 60 Minutes. We're going to talk about the NBA. Yesterday they kicked off the NBA season with Media Day. Today is the first day of training camp. Let's talk about the Wild Wild West. Who's going to win the West this year in the NBA?
Actually have the Warriors winning it again. Warriors or the Thunder. I have to go with the Warriors. The reason I'm not saying the Spurs is because, yes, they signed LaMarcus Aldridge, the best free agent available last year. But you also have to think about the certain system that they play in. They play in a ball movement system. They don't stop the ball movement or choke the ball, which is the type of player LaMarcus Aldridge was with Portland. So I don't think the Spurs are going to do bad. I just think it's going to take them a while to get used to the system. And I don't think they have that time in the West. Going with the Warriors, Steph Curry, and then you have the Thunder coming back, which are trying to make a huge statement, and they're trying to do good. Because knowing next year, that will be Kevin Durant's free agency. And then you also have the Clippers and then the Rockets. So I still have the Warriors.
What about you, Jabari?
I actually have the Clippers winning it. I feel like since they picked DeAndre Jordan back up, I feel like that's still the Clippers have that team chemistry there still. Their team chemistry is really big, and I feel like that's going to be the determining factor. We've seen in previous playoff games and previous championships, the Spurs versus the Heat. The Spurs, of course, had the more chemistry there. The Heat versus the Thunder. The Heat were young too, but they have veterans on there that play longer than the Warriors, who had a young team who just had stars that really never played together as much as the Heat veterans. So I mean, chemistry takes a big toll on this, and I feel like the Clippers have a good chance at winning it.
How do you think that the addition of Paul Pierce as opposed to Barnes is going to help the Clippers?
Well, that's more of a veteran there. I feel like Paul Pierce, he's a much more mature player than Barnes. Pierce, he brings the attitude to the team. That's what the team also needs. They don't have much of the attitude there other than from DeAndre Jordan. And you know, Blake Griffin only gets that attitude when it's like when he's upset with himself, like when something is like when someone is either outperforming him or when he's not having a good game. So with Paul Pierce there, I feel like that attitude will come out.
Okay. King, who's going to win the West?
I think the Warriors are going to win the West. And I don't think the Clippers are going to win. After what I saw last year against the Spurs, when they were winning, it was 3-0, when they were in the series, winning the series 3-0, they couldn't close it. No, not the Spurs.
The Rockets.
Yeah, the Rockets. And they couldn't close it. I don't think they had good execution because they were in perfect position to win the series and go to the conference finals, which they couldn't execute. So I don't know about the execution, but I think I'm going to have to go for the Warriors in the West.
So nobody thinks San Antonio has a chance to go for that sixth title?
They have a chance, but it's like very unlikely. Knowing with the league going smaller and with the players such as Draymond Green, who plays power forward, and the Spurs, they might play Tim Duncan at power forward over Marcus Aldridge. And knowing the type of player they are, the players the Warriors are, they're a younger, faster team. You know, they play with joy. They don't have much systems like get the ball, if you hot, shoot it. If you're not, pass it. And it's more of a having fun with the game. Yeah.
Do you think that they're going to be affected by being the champions? Last year, they were chasing the championship. This year, they're the champions. They're going to get everybody's A game. Everybody's coming to take away their title. How do you think that's going to affect this team?
They're of course going to have some rough spots during the season. You know, knowing with the team that young and this being their first time winning a championship, they're of course going to be like, man, these dudes are really coming after us. And one person who really isn't making it easier for them is Draymond Green. That dude is talking a whole bunch of smack. A lot of players don't come from him, come for him. I don't mean like lock him down. I mean like purposely fouling or trying to injure him. Because he was talking a whole bunch of smack. They was talking, when Kyrie said, if me and Kevin Love wasn't injured, we would have won the championship. He said if I was 6'11", I would have been Anthony Davis. Something like that. That don't get me wrong, that was funny, but you just have to know, like, man, you playing with all these grown men and they trying to win so they can get more money on their contract, and you are not helping.
Well, I really don't see that the Warriors can win it again because I mean they still have to prove more to me. They had a good season last year, but Steph Curry, he had this one just great season. He won MVP, but I have to see that consistency. I said the Clippers because I've seen Chris Paul. He's been consistent. He has led the league multiple times in double-double, like averaging a double-double. and points and assists.
Everyone passes in the second round.
Yeah, you ain't seen that.
Yes, but
Until Golden State won last year, neither did they. They didn't get past the second round. I think that the Clippers, if they had have played to their potential last year, I think they would have challenged Golden State. If they would have got past Houston, they would have took Golden State to 7 games. And if the Clippers play basketball consistently all year, they have a really good chance of winning the West because they have a great player at every position. You got Blake Griffin playing power forward. You got Jordan in the middle, Chris Paul. They have talented players, and Doc Rivers has been to the finals on several occasions. Pierce is a veteran. He has the winning pedigree, and they have a chance to really make some noise out west. It's going to be very interesting. San Antonio is going to be heard from. Oklahoma City is going to be good. Durant is going to be back healthy, strong legs. He had a whole season off. He's going to come off the injury. He's going to be doing a good job. Harden is going to do a great job in Houston. It's going to be a wild west. But let's shift gears. Let's go to the East Conference. Does the road to the finals travel through Cleveland?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, who else is going to take them out? I mean, the Heat, they're doing good for a player who LeBron left not too long ago. Most people, like the Cavs, they didn't get out of the lottery until LeBron came back. But I honestly think Cleveland really has a chance of being upset. I mean, Kevin Love, he got injured again. They're talking about Kevin Love and Kyrie not being able to come back on the first night of the game. But in the East, you get more of a break because, honestly, not all the teams are that good. You had teams like the Bucks in it last year. They were good, like one of the best defensive teams in, but that offense was lacking. And then the Bulls, they're going to be good. Jimmy Butler, Derrick Rose got injured again. That dude can't catch a break, but he breaks everything in his body. Who else? The Raptors, they're not going to be that good. It's not really that many teams that you can see upsetting the Cavs.
What about Atlanta?
No, they folded in the playoffs like a piece of paper.
Yeah. The Bucks show some signs of growth. They have a young team. You don't think they have an opportunity to make some noise in the East?
They're not getting back. They're not getting past the Cavs. The defense is good, but they don't have any players who you can see go back to back. Say LeBron scores a possession. You don't have a player on the Bucks who can really just take over the game. What I was saying before, and you don't see that player who, and it's the last minute of the game's tied, LeBron hit a three. You don't have a player on the Bucks that you can see coming down and just shooting a three and making it and just walking up. You don't see that type of player on the Bucks.
What about the Wizards? The Wizards are a talented team. They have John Wall. They have a good backcourt. What about the Wizards?
Well, the Wizards, I don't feel like their experience level is as great as the players that's on the Cavs.
Especially losing Paul Pierce.
Exactly, because they had a great team last year, but I still didn't see them going deep into the playoffs. Well, but the Cavs the Cavs have problems that I feel like will coincide within them. Here go the things. You seen LeBron try to carry the team, and he did a great job. I mean, people recognize how great of a player he was because he was doing it without players. Now, they have players like JR and Amon who needs to be there to step up, but they weren't consistent. You have people like Kyrie and Kevin Love who are getting hurt. If your star players are getting hurt, and then your backup players that you really need to come off, your sixth man, they're not being consistent, then your team isn't doing as well. LeBron can do a lot, but he can't do everything. We've seen that. They were in the championship. They weren't being consistent, but LeBron was still putting up. Now, when you're going against a whole nother team, the West, they have stacked players. It's really hard. If they get to the championship, they're going against a team that has great players all around. It's not going to only be LeBron having to do stuff. There's going to have to be consistency, and there's going to have to be durability. There can't be no players getting hurt, and there can't be no players not being consistent.
Let me ask this question. We saw Cleveland have success in the playoffs, but it was without Kevin Love. How does he fit into the chemistry? As we sit here and conversate, Tristan Thompson has not signed a contract. How will his absence affect you?
Oh yeah, he leaving. He leaving. He leaving. Next year he gonna sign a qualifying. He gonna sign a qualifying offer, and then next year he's gone. Toronto. I'm calling him. Toronto.
So Tristan is going to be with the Raptors. How does the chemistry of fitting Love into the offense? We saw in the playoffs that they were shooting perimeter shots. Love is an inside-out type player. He's going to take the ball out of LeBron's hands at times. How is that going to affect Luka's offense? And how is his lack of ability to play defense going to hurt them on the defensive end?
You ain't gonna take that?
You got it.
I know I do. I'm just making sure. Cause you know I don't want none of y'all hitting me up after the show saying, man, why you ain't let me talk?
Just speak on the topic.
Yeah, don't tell me. I speak when I want to speak. But anyway,
Exactly.
I want to speak. And then there was like, at the media day, LeBron, there was such things saying, LeBron saying, the less he has to do, the better. Cause they were talking about getting the ball more in Kevin Love's hands, Kyrie Irving's hands, just spreading the ball out more, and just LeBron just being there. Of course, there's going to be stretches when he's the best player in the game. Obviously, there's going to be months. When he's on fire, averaging 30 points a game, months, not throughout the season. But there's also going to be times when he's going to really sit back, watch Kyrie and Kevin do their thing. So I think Kevin Love is going to do good, but he's not going to be what he once was with Timberwolves.
You hit a great point though. Like LeBron is getting older, and as LeBron is getting older, you see this in the playoffs too. Like even without his starting players, he was trying to pass more. When the players around him wasn't really doing as great, he had to take it upon himself. I feel like LeBron is changing his game, and we can see that. You can see younger LeBron. His stats are still like increasing also, but at the same time, his play style. There's a different thing than just looking at stats and actually watching the style. LeBron's style is becoming different. He's starting to pass it more. You can understand that. You see him posting up and then looking to dish it. So I feel like that Kevin Love will start to like also do good.
I think with LeBron, he's getting older. He carried that offensive load like he once did. And he doesn't have to. He has some parts around him that can help him win. And I think it's going to be very interesting out east. We're going to come back with our next segment. We're going to talk about college football, the early season surprises. Is the Alabama dynasty over?
Hey, what's up? I'm Isaac of STI740.
My name is Isaiah Cherry with the entertainment section of STI740.
Freedom of speech.
Right to bear arms.
The government cannot take your room and board.
The government cannot search or take any property of the citizens without a warrant.
You cannot be tried for the same crime twice.
We guarantee speedy trial, impartial jury, and must have a lawyer.
Guarantees a jury trial and federal court cases.
Excessive fines and uncruel punishment is not allowed in civil court cases.
Just because other rights are not listed, they still exist and can still be violated.
Any powers that doesn't belong to the federal government belong to the state.
That right there was your 10 amendments. Everyone should know this. And throughout this video, we want you guys to continuously think about this and tell us if what some of these people actions that they have done is they violated.
And did you guys know that the city of Irving was one of 5 cities out of the whole United States to be selected to receive funds for buildings, for clothing, for all types of necessity that citizens need nowadays? Well, the city of Irving denied that funds for 25 years because they knew that funds would go towards the Bear Creek. And the Bear Creek is mainly populated with minorities of being black because it was such of a plantation that Irving did not want the black people to get the money. Now, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I think that's kind of wrong, and that's kind of going against the Constitution, which we have our own rights for. Now, the city of Irving should have known that they were doing something, pretty negative if they were denying funds to help out the city. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but That goes against the Constitution, if you ask me.
They actually turned down $80 million. Not because they didn't need it, but because it would have to go to cities, counties, towns like Bear Creek, which is what he said was full of minority. And then also they had a slave plantation, and they said a man that my dad interviewed recently,
Anthony
Bond, he went there and he said it was just disgusting because the gravestones was knocked over, the cattle had urine on all of it, and that was just one of the most disrespectful things. And he said he sat there and cried because it was just so disrespectful how things happened. And he spent 6 months trying to find out who owned the plantation, who was the most recent owner, and he said what he found was just nasty.
Welcome back to Around the World of Sports in 60 Minutes. We're going to talk about the college football playoff. Who are the early season favorites?
I actually have TCU. TCU is doing good. Their quarterback, Trevon Boykin, they're calling him one of the best quarterbacks in college football right now. And he's putting up mad numbers. And TCU, their receivers are doing great. Their defense is doing good. I don't see a reason why they shouldn't be able to win.
I have to go with TCU too, because I think they're trying to make a statement saying that they can be in the top four, knowing that they're a Big 12 team and that everybody's expecting the SEC teams to be in there. So I think they're trying to make a statement and prove everybody wrong that they should be number one and that they should be in the playoffs.
Y'all see that dude right there? That's the guy who knows what we're talking about.
They had a big win at Texas Tech, came back on Texas Tech. That was a big win on this past weekend. What about you, Bavard? Who do you have this year?
Well, I guess we just all think alike in how smart minds you.
Nah, man, you just like what I said.
Nah, TCU is a team. Boykins is really great. He's a really great quarterback. The only thing I'm worried about is that TCU has also started off great in the season before in previous years. And I don't know if it's with the coaching, but they really didn't execute as well towards the end in the championship. So, I mean, but TCU is doing great this year, so I picked them as an early favorite.
TCU is a good football team. They can play offense very well, but they have lost a lot of key personnel. And I think that in a playoff, if you isolate them in one game, if they have to go up against an SEC team that can play tough defense, I think that they will put points on the board, but I think they're going to have a tough time, just like Oregon did last year. Oregon was putting points up in the playoff. They put points up against Florida State, but when Ohio State played them and they lined up against them and hit them in the mouth, it caused problems for that offense. One big game that's coming up this weekend that I'm looking at, because the team that I think is going to make some noise that's under the radar is the Georgia Bulldogs. Chubb has run for something like 12 straight games, 100 yards, tied a record from Herschel Walker at the University of Georgia. That's big news, because Herschel Walker, when he was at Georgia, led them to a national championship. They play Alabama this Saturday in the game of the week, and that's going to be a tough game. I believe that if the winner of this game is going to emerge as the champion of the SEC, and if Georgia can beat Alabama finally, I think Georgia has credibility as a chance to win this national championship. Ohio State is struggling at quarterback. One surprise also I'm looking at is Michigan State. I think that the two best teams right now may be in the Big Ten, number 1 Ohio State and number 2 Michigan State. But if Georgia can win against Alabama, we may have a dark horse coming up. If Alabama's able to beat Georgia, the dynasty may not begin. Any thoughts on that?
I don't think the dynasty is dead. Alabama, I'm sure they recognize they're knocked out of the polls. You know, they're not in the top 25 anymore after their loss, and I'm sure they don't like that. I mean, Alabama is one of the greatest college dynasties there are, and I mean, Alabama. I feel like after the loss, I feel like they know that they have to step up and perform now. They understand that they can't let this happen anymore. So Alabama is a great team, and I feel like that's not going to affect them, that one loss.
When we come back, we're going to talk about Major League Baseball. We're a couple days away from October. The playoffs are going to start. We're going to give you our picks on who's going to win the World Series, who's going to emerge from the League Championship Series. When we come back, on Around the World in 60 Minutes. Man, my walk's right and my walk's tight. Gotta do more than just talk right. I'm not all right, but I'm all right. I'm in Air Forces, all white. Hold up, let me check, that's all black. No lies here, just all facts. Here we are now. My faith is up and I'm graced up, but I'm stars down, and that's just how we do it off a Texas kid. The blessings is where the lessons is. One love and I'm reppin' it. If you're really looking for peace, then rest in his. We hit the streets to reach the godless. Show 'em all love till we teach the heartless. No, we didn't start this, but still we will reap the harvest. We on a team with King Kasab, and let's go.
My walk's right and my walk's tight. With the word of God, I take flight like JJ. Dynamite, he illuminates and gives sight. My Lord saves, and you know this. Over the enemy, he carries me. Now in liberty, I'm walking, and with the joyful noise, I'm talking. He fights for me, so no worries here. When the trials come, I persevere. Won't run in fear, I stand and fight. I'm a king's kid, I'm super tight. Jesus is Lord all day and night, and because of him, my walk's right. Jesus is Lord all day and night, and because of him, my walk's right. Ain't nothing going right, ain't nothing going right.
Welcome back. Seahawks are coming up soon. As a matter of fact, next Tuesday will be the American League playoff for the wild card teams, and next Wednesday we'll see the National League playoff. Who's going to emerge as the American League or National League champions?
I don't really know. I mean, baseball, it's always different. Like, it's different than any other sport, is what I'm saying. Yes, because, I mean, you have a longer series and you have multiple games. So, I mean, you have to bring in different pitchers. Like, this baseball topic about emerging, I mean, you will have to find out when the playoffs start. It's like, that's when you start to recognize. That's when I start to recognize. It's hard to really predict it now, is what I'm saying.
Okay. I'm looking at the teams that emerged to the World Series last year. They both came from the wild card. The Giants won the wild card playoff, and then they went through the playoffs and emerged as the National League champion. The Kansas City Royals also did the same thing as a wild card. The thing about baseball, you need to get in the playoff. Kansas City, as a matter of fact, last year they went into extra innings, had a miraculous comeback in the late innings. They pulled out the game 6-5 at home. Then they went on and went through the American League playoff and played a classic Game 7 against San Francisco. It's going to be exciting. The Cubs and the Pirates are going to be a very interesting game next Wednesday night. It'll be played in Pittsburgh. Jake Arrieta, he threw a no-hitter a couple weeks ago. And then Sunday night, he came within one batter of throwing another no-hitter, a perfect game. He's going to be going. He's going to be hard to handle. As far as the American League, don't be surprised if the Rangers don't make any noise. They came out of nowhere to win the West Division. Well, actually, they haven't won it yet, but they are in a comfortable lead with about 6 games left. Texas may do some damage. We may see Texas advance. Also, Kansas City has that look where their pitching staff is strong, and they have speed. And when you get into the playoffs, you can definitely use speed and laying bunts down when it's cold outside. Pitching is going to be difficult to handle pitchers that are throwing fastballs in on the hands because the bat is going to sting because it's going to be 50 degrees outside. So Kansas City has a chance to make some noise. Texas is going to be a surprise because they do have some pitching. And the Chicago Cubs may make some noise because they have young players that don't have anything to be afraid of. They're rookies and they're playing with house money. So I'm looking forward to this. The Dodgers have pitching with the 2 great pitchers they have. And in a short series, if you get 2 hot pitchers, you can do some damage. So this playoff is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to seeing it and let it roll out on us to see how it emerges. And we'll get back together and talk about it. That'll be our show for tonight. We appreciate you joining us. We look forward to you coming back and joining us at the next broadcast. This has been Around the World, the sports world in 60 minutes. Thank you for watching.
Low blow by Hurst. Hagler still looking for the body. A right by Hagler. Good right, got in. He had Hurst where he left to keep him on the ropes, but now he comes off easily. Another.
I'm Michael Chair with STI740, and right here we have a younger fighter than everybody else. I was watching some of what she was doing, and it was crazy. Some of the only thing I could do. But I just want to ask you a couple questions. How is it being such a young girl that's already a good fighter?
every day. Honestly, go to the gym.
So, how is it? It looks like you and Uncle Roger get along a lot. What is he in your life? It's amazing. How long have you been boxing? November? You came a long way. So, when you first started, was it difficult or did you already have prior training?
My mom taught me a couple of punches before I came
So, I'm sorry, I'm just amazed about you. How old are you?
7.
7? Man, alright, so do you think you can beat up any of the boys in this gym? Alright, I'm sorry, I don't want to hold you any longer. Thank you for
Text till there I'll never reach no more.